There's something weirdly satisfying about building a fortress while the world burns. 2025 has delivered some incredible zombie and post-apocalyptic base builders where survival meets construction, and honestly, I can't get enough of them. Whether you're into deep simulation, brutal PvP, or just want to craft the ultimate zombie-proof compound, these 10 games will absolutely consume your free time. Let's get into it.
Knock, knock.
You know what most survival games get wrong about base building? They make it feel like a chore you have to do before you can get to the real game. Once Human flips that completely, your territory isn't just a storage shed, it's your entire survival infrastructure, and the building system gives you the creative freedom to make it exactly what you need it to be. Let's talk about the territory core system. Press B, drop your territory marker, and boom, you've claimed your piece of the apocalypse. You start with 14.4 square meters, but here's the brilliant part: you can move your entire base anywhere on the map without rebuilding. Found a better spot near aluminum veins or a strategic PvP position? Just press Z in build mode and relocate. Your structures stay intact. That's right, your whole fortress travels with you. For us base builders who've lost hours to wrong location, regret in other games, this is life-changing. The building itself uses a precise grid alignment system that lets you snap foundations, walls, and facilities perfectly into place. You get 300 structure slots, 100 facility slots, and 100 decoration slots by default wooden frames for early game, stone and marble for mid-game fortresses, and every piece, from triangle foundations to skylight windows, designed to work together seamlessly. Want a multi-story industrial citadel? Go for it. Prefer a resort-style base with water features and gold accents? The game won't stop you. The creative freedom here rivals dedicated building games. But once Human's real genius is how facilities integrate into your base design. You're not just placing decorative objects, you're building a functioning production empire, workbenches for gear crafting, modification benches for weapon upgrades, furnaces and smelters converting copper to bronze alloy, and iron to steel ingots, stoves and fridges preserving food for 15 days. Each facility has durability, requires specific metal tiers, tin for early zones, tungsten for endgame, and serves a purpose beyond aesthetics. You can even double up on furnaces if you have the space, creating actual assembly line efficiency in your base. Then there's the power system. Solar generators and biomass generators produce electricity measured in watts, which you wire through walls and floors using circuit modules to extend range. You'll connect this grid to fridges, automatic doors, lighting for those endless apocalyptic nights, and most importantly, defensive turrets. Managing your power grid during territory purification events or PvP raids becomes a genuine strategic layer. Run out of juice and your defenses go dark. Speaking of defense, once Human doesn't treat your base as a safe zone, you build once and forget. Mutated beasts and corruption storms can raid your territory, players in PvP zones can attack. You need layered wooden walls, elevated firing positions, strategically placed turrets with sensor triggers, and enough power generation to keep everything running during prolonged sieges. Your base layout matters tactically. Choke points, overlapping fields of fire, protected generator rooms. It's tower defense built into your home. And when you outgrow your initial plot, unlock territory expansion in the building memetics tree and instantly upgrade from 14.4 to 32.4 square meters, more than doubling your building space. Plus, you can join a hive with friends, combining your territories for collaborative mega bases with faster crafting speeds and combat bonuses, or save entire base blueprints for instant reconstruction after seasonal server wipes. Once Human treats base building as the core survival mechanic it should be, not an afterthought, but your strategic command center, production facility, and fortress all in one. For base builders who want genuine depth alongside creative freedom, this is the one. From eldritch post-apocalypse to something even more brutally realistic. SCUM is hardcore survival taken to the absolute extreme. We're talking metabolism simulation where you track calories, vitamins, and even your character's bowel movements. Complex medical systems where bullet wounds need proper treatment. Skill progression tied to actual attributes like strength and dexterity. This isn't your casual survival game. SCUM is a prison island battle royale meets DayZ style survival simulator where every mechanic is designed to punish you for mistakes. And in this unforgiving environment, base building becomes your only sanctuary from the chaos. But here's what makes SCUM fascinating for base builders. It gives you genuine architectural freedom while forcing you to think like a military engineer. You're not just stacking walls, you're calculating structural stability, planning defensive positions, and building fortresses designed to withstand coordinated raids from organized squads. Everything starts with the flag. In SCUM, you can't build anything without first claiming territory. Place your flag, and a visible radius appears showing your buildable area. This flag does 3 critical things: prevents other players from building in your space, stops them from locking doors in your territory, and serves as a central repair station for your entire base using a toolbox. The flag is your sovereignty, which also means it's the #1 target for raiders, protected accordingly. Now here's where SCUM offers the strategic choice that defines your playstyle. Option 1. Find an existing building, an abandoned house, warehouse, military bunker, and fortify it. Claim the doors, board up weak points, build walls around the perimeter. Option 2. Build from absolute scratch using modular elements in an open field. Option 3, and this is what experienced players do: hybrid approach. Find a structure with good bones, claim it, then build modular extensions and defensive perimeters around it. The modular building system is where SCUM flexes its engineering muscles. You're working with foundations, walls, floors, stairs, door frames, and roofs that all snap together like Lego pieces. But unlike Lego, you can't just stack them randomly. Stability matters. You need proper foundations to support walls. You need support elements to build higher. The game literally calculates structural integrity based on what's underneath. Try building a 3-story metal fortress on wooden twig foundations. It'll collapse or simply won't let you build that high. Material hierarchy is critical. Twig is your starting material. Cheap, fast, but weak. Wood is your standard mid-tier option. Metal provides serious protection. Concrete is endgame fortress level defense. But here's the genius mechanic. You don't build 3 separate walls for 3-layer defense anymore. Walls are upgradable. Build a basic wooden wall, then hold F and select upgrade. Fill the new blueprint with materials, metal scraps, cement bags, barbed wire, and boom, you've transformed that wooden wall into reinforced metal without rebuilding from scratch. Same goes for doors, door frames, and watchtowers. But there's a catch that balances the system: module limits. Solo players get 100 modular elements per flag. That's not a lot when you're building multi-story compounds with multiple rooms. Squads get higher limits based on member count, which creates this brilliant risk-reward dynamic. See a massive concrete fortress? You know there's gear for an entire team inside. Small base, probably a solo player's stash. Private servers can adjust limits, but the standard creates natural base scaling. Engineering and survival skills gate your building capabilities. You can't just spawn and start building concrete bunkers. You need to level these skills through gameplay, which means early bases are primitive and you gradually unlock better structures. It's progression that makes sense. You're learning to build better as you survive longer. Defensive strategy in SCUM is all about layers and choke points. Smart players build fortress-style compounds, main cabins, and storage in the center, surrounded by multiple wall perimeters that upgrade from wood to metal to concrete. Watchtowers provide elevated firing positions. Barbed wire on the inside of walls prevents raiders from climbing over. Spike traps and explosives with motion sensors create kill zones. Then there's the airlock meta. Instead of single door entry, you build multiple doors with wall segments creating zigzag paths. This forces raiders to breach multiple layers, buying you time to respond. Advanced builders create peaks, intentional gaps in walls behind door frames where you can shoot at lockpickers without exposing yourself. Stack cabinets on cabin roofs for elevated cover positions during firefights. Here's the crucial mistake new players make: building walls at the edge of your flag radius. Don't do it. Raiders will build watchtowers just outside your boundary and jump over your walls. Always build walls well inside your territory, leaving a buffer zone. This single mistake has cost countless players their entire bases. Location strategy depends on server type and playstyle. PvP servers. Find areas with natural elevation advantages, limited approach vectors, proximity to loot, but not too close to high traffic areas. PvE, build near traders and resource-rich zones. Woodlands provide concealment. Flat areas give maximum buildable space, but zero natural defense. The meta game becomes squad coordination and resource management. Solo players build compact, heavily fortified boxes. Squads build sprawling compounds with specialized sections, armories, medical bays, vehicle garages, farming plots. The best bases have redundant storage in hidden locations because everything is raidable eventually. SCUM proves that realistic simulation mechanics don't limit base building creativity, they enhance it. When structural stability matters, when material choice affects defense, when territorial control requires strategic thinking, base building becomes genuine engineering. And when you finally hold off a 5-man raid squad because your layered defenses and tactical positioning were better than their numbers, that's the hardcore survival base building experience. Trading hardcore simulation for a more focused zombie survival experience. HUMANITZ is a top-down, open-world survival game that throws you into a post-apocalyptic nightmare crawling with zombies, or Zeeks as the game calls them, and hostile NPCs who'll shoot you on sight. Unlike most zombie games where you're running around in first person, this one gives you that classic Project Zomboid perspective where you're looking down at the chaos. You'll scavenge for supplies, manage hunger and thirst, deal with infection, and most importantly for us base builders, construct fortified compounds to survive the night. And trust me, when those nightly raids hit, you're gonna want walls. Lots of them. Now here's where HUMANITZ gets interesting for the base building crowd. This game gives you true freeform construction. No pre-existing bases with fixed slots. No predetermined building locations. You can literally build anywhere on the map using a modular system of prefab pieces. Walls, floors, gates, crafting stations, storage containers, defensive structures. It's the kind of creative freedom that makes you dangerous once you understand the systems. The beauty of HUMANITZ is the dual approach to base building. Option 1. Find an existing building, a house, garage, fire station, storage facility, and fortify it. You can board up windows, reinforce doors, build walls around the perimeter, and turn any structure into your fortress. The game even lets you deconstruct debris inside buildings to clean them up. Option 2. Build from absolute scratch in an open field or parking lot. Personally, I prefer finding a strategic location with natural advantages, like a fenced compound or a storage facility with limited entry points, and building around it. Let's talk about the building system itself. Everything starts with wooden structures. You'll craft wooden walls, wooden gates, wooden floors. But here's the key mechanic that took me embarrassingly long to figure out. Once you place a wooden structure, you can upgrade it. Look at the right side of your screen after placing a wall, and you'll see upgrade options. Wooden wall becomes reinforced wall, becomes metal barbed wall. Same concept for gates and other defensive structures. This progression system means you're not locked into weak defenses early. You're building the foundation for an impenetrable fortress. The crafting station hierarchy is critical. You need a workbench as your first priority. This unlocks advanced crafting recipes and becomes the hub of your base operations. Then you want a campfire or cooking stove for food preparation. Chemistry station for medical crafting, crucial for dealing with blood plague infections. Table saw for processing logs into usable wood planks. Each station has specific recipes it unlocks, and positioning them efficiently in your base becomes part of the puzzle. Storage is where HUMANITZ differs from a lot of survival games. You can literally drop items on the ground and they won't despawn. I've seen players create organized loot piles by item type, clothes here, weapons there, car parts over there. But eventually you'll want proper storage. Weapon crates hold firearms. Storage lockers handle bulk items. And here's a pro tip. Find a location near 8 storage lockers and a gun shop. Grid 3E in Arrington is community favorite for a reason. Defense isn't optional, it's survival. The game features RNG-based raids where zombies or hostile NPCs will attack your base at night, sometimes both back-to-back. You need layered defenses, outer perimeter walls with gates, barbed wire to slow attackers, spike traps at choke points, elevated positions for shooting down at threats. Some players get creative and use parked vehicles as mobile barricades. Others build elevated bases where storage and crafting stations sit on rooftops, completely out of reach. Vehicle integration is huge. Cars aren't just transportation, they're mobile storage units. The camper van has a built-in cooking stove, trucks can haul logs, and parking vehicles strategically can block entry points without using materials. Plus, with the mechanic profession, you'll maintain vehicles significantly better, which matters when car parts are scarce. Resource production rounds out your base infrastructure. Rain collectors provide water, essential for survival, and some crafting recipes. Farms generate food daily. CB radios let you call in traders who sell car parts, weapons, medical supplies, and fuel. The trick is finding that balance between defense, production, and utility within your limited building materials. Base location strategy is endgame thinking. Fire stations offer multiple vehicle bays with limited entry points. Storage facilities have natural perimeter fencing. Garages provide easy access to car repair materials. And if you're on a PvP server, you want multiple layers of walls, hidden storage on elevated platforms, and your best gear in the hardest to reach spots. The metagame becomes optimizing for both PvE zombie hordes and PvP bandit raids. Single player focused players build self-sufficient compounds with farming and water collection. Multiplayer raiders build compact, heavily fortified bases with minimal entry points. Nomadic players establish outposts across the map rather than one mega base. HUMANITZ proves that top-down perspective doesn't limit base building depth. When you combine freeform placement, upgradable structures, strategic location selection, and genuine raid threats, you get a survival game where your base is your lifeline. And when you finally perfect that multi-level fortress with reinforced metal walls, organized storage, full production capabilities, and kill zones at every entrance, that's the base building satisfaction we're all chasing. From the undead hordes to something far more terrifying, cannibal-infested wilderness. Remember the Forest's clunky blueprint system where you placed ghosted structures and filled them with logs? Sons of the Forest said, what if we let players actually build, and introduced a freeform construction system that transforms base building from template placement into genuine carpentry? You're holding logs, sticks, and rocks manually, and the game gives you visual guidelines showing exactly where and how pieces connect. It's first-person construction that feels tactile, creative, and infinitely more flexible than its predecessor. The dual building system gives you two approaches. Press B to open your guidebook, and you're in the new freeform mode by default. A visual reference showing construction techniques while you place materials freely. Hold X to switch to classic mode, which brings back blueprint structures for quick shelters. Tarp tents requiring just a tarp and 2 sticks. Hunting shelters, small log cabins, lookout towers. Blueprints are perfect for fast survival setups when cannibals are closing in, but freeform building is where Sons of the Forest shines. Here's how manual construction works. Grab a log, your primary building material from felled trees, and white dashed guidelines appear showing placement options. Place 4 log stumps vertically to mark foundation corners. This levels uneven terrain automatically. Lay horizontal logs between vertical supports to create walls. Stack them 6 logs high, one more than the forest's 5 log walls, to build perimeter defenses. Place whole logs horizontally for roof beams, and the game shows moving arrows indicating orientation. Right-click to change laying direction. Split logs in half with your axe to fill gaps without wasting materials. Each placement triggers new dashed line prompts showing what you can add next. Doors, windows, stairs, reinforcements. Defensive structures are crucial because cannibals and mutants actively attack your base. Build defensive walls by placing vertical logs next to each other, then use your axe on the red dotted prompts at log tops to sharpen them into spikes. Sharpened defensive walls prevent enemies from climbing over. Regular walls can be scaled. Surround your base with stick structures adorned with body parts, crafted from, well, you know, to signal dominance and scare off potential attackers. Build log fences as perimeters. Install traps. Small animal traps for food, bone maker traps setting humanoids on fire, fly swatter traps for big game, hokey pokey traps with swinging spiked balls, lockable doors keep intruders out, elevated tree shelters, 2x2 log platforms attached to trees provide height advantage and safety Reinforcement is critical for structural integrity. Strengthen wooden pillars by placing rocks or half logs diagonally at upper corners. Curved arrows appear showing reinforcement points. This increases durability against attacks and allows you to remove redundant interior pillars in larger buildings, creating open floor plans without losing stability. The guidebook shows reinforcement techniques for pillars, roofs, and foundations. Resource gathering becomes your primary activity. Logs are everything. You'll need hundreds for substantial bases. Chop trees with your axe. They fall in the direction you're facing, so aim carefully to avoid injury. Send Kelvin, your AI companion, to collect logs continuously while you build. Set up log collectors near construction sites to stockpile materials. Sticks, stones, and rope are found in camps, crash sites, and caves. Location matters strategically. Build near water sources for hydration, and fish forest clearings offer visibility to spot approaching threats. Mountain areas provide defensible high ground. Beach shores give open sight lines. Avoid the helicopter crash site and GPS markers. They attract cannibals. Best defensive location, build on non-freezing rivers where cannibals can't reach you easily. Multi-story construction uses vertical logs as supports and horizontal logs as floor layers. Build stairs by placing logs at angles. Guidelines show proper stair placement. Create interior rooms by partitioning walls. Add doors by chopping holes into walls. Hit red dotted lines with your axe, then place logs following prompts. Windows work similarly. Build fireplaces inside structures for heating and cooking. Rain catchers collect water, unusable during winter when they freeze. Standing planters and wall planters grow food from seeds during warm seasons. Utility buildings expand functionality. Storage units organize resources. Skull lamps light areas. Scarecrows prevent birds from stealing crops. Birdhouses passively collect feathers for arrows. The repair tool fixes structural damage after attacks. Minor damage repairs quickly, but total destruction requires complete rebuilds. What makes Sons of the Forest building special is how physical it feels. You're not clicking menus. You're holding logs, positioning them manually, watching dashed guidelines appear as you rotate pieces, hearing the thunk as materials snap into place. Split a log with your axe, and the other half flies off realistically. Drop it with G first to control where pieces land. Build a foundation on uneven ground and watch it adapt to terrain contours. Construct walls that actually block enemies. Create custom layouts impossible with blueprints. Angled roofs, multi-wing structures, fortified compounds with overlapping defenses. Your base evolves from a tarp tent on day 1 to a fortified compound with defensive perimeters, elevated platforms, secured storage, farming infrastructure, and living quarters. Kelvin can finish blueprint structures you start but can't do freeform construction. That creativity is all yours. Virginia, your other companion, doesn't build but will help defend for base builders who want survival construction that feels genuinely hands-on, where you're placing every log manually and seeing structures emerge from your physical labor while cannibals prowl the tree line waiting for nightfall. Sons of the Forest delivers primal satisfaction. Your shelter isn't spawned from a menu. You built it, log by log, leaving isolated terror behind for organized community survival. State of Decay 2 isn't your typical zombie shooter. This is a hardcore survival sandbox where you're managing an entire community of survivors in a post-apocalyptic world. Every character is unique with their own skills, personalities, and backstories. You'll scavenge for supplies, fight off hordes of undead, recruit new survivors, and make brutal choices about who lives and who dies. It's part action game, part survival sim, and part community management strategy. And if you're like me and you live for base building games, this one's going to sink its hooks deep. Now, I've spent hundreds of hours in base builders, from RimWorld to Oxygen Not Included to Satisfactory. So when I tell you State of Decay 2's base building system is different, I mean it's fundamentally different from what you'd expect. There's no freeform construction here, no placing walls wherever you want or designing your perfect fortress from scratch. Instead, you're working with pre-existing locations scattered across the map. Abandoned houses, fire stations, warehouses, strip malls, materials, even a massive container fort if you're lucky enough to find it. Here's how it actually works. Each base location comes with built-in facilities you can't change, and a set number of empty slots. These slots are categorized as small or large, indoor or outdoor, and that classification determines what you can build. A small outdoor slot, perfect for a garden or some basic beds. A large indoor slot, now we're talking workshops, infirmaries, or even a full auto shop for vehicle upgrades. And this is where the puzzle begins, because unlike games where you can just spam farms and turrets until your PC catches fire, State of Decay 2 forces you to think strategically. You've got maybe 3 to 8 facility slots depending on your base size, and you need to cover everything. Food production, medical care, stamina recovery, crafting stations, resource generation, morale boosters, and defensive structures. It's like playing Tetris with your survival needs. Let me give you a real example. Your survivors are getting wrecked by blood plague, this game's signature infection mechanic. You need an infirmary, and you need it upgraded to craft plague cure samples. That's one large slot gone, plus it requires a survivor with medical knowledge to run efficiently. But wait, your people are exhausted and you only have 2 beds. You need a barracks, another large slot. Oh, and you're completely out of building materials because you've been crafting like crazy. Time to build a workshop so you can break down items into materials. That's your 3rd slot. See the problem? You haven't even touched food production, water supply, or ammunition crafting yet. What makes this system brilliant is the upgrade paths. Every facility has multiple tiers, and watching them evolve is incredibly satisfying. Start with a basic garden producing 1 food per day. Upgrade it to a farm with compost bins for 2 food daily. Max it out to hydroponics for 3 food plus medicinal herbs. Same concept applies to everything. Outdoor beds become sheltered beds, become barracks. Basic workshops become staging areas that eliminate facility maintenance costs entirely. The resource economy is equally tight. Building costs materials, upgrades cost materials and influence. The game's currency you earn through missions and community goals. Facilities have daily upkeep costs and resources. You can't just build everything and forget about it. You're constantly calculating, do I spend 150 influence upgrading my infirmary or relocating to a bigger base? Speaking of relocating, base progression is core to the experience. You start small with 3 or 4 slots, basically a starter home in the zombie apocalypse. As your community grows, you'll need to move up. Small bases cost 500 influence and need 3 survivors. Medium bases run 1,000 influence for 5 survivors. Large bases demand 1,500 influence and 6 survivors. And if you're going for the endgame massive bases, 3,500 influence and 8 survivors minimum. Each move is a major decision because you're dismantling your entire operation and rebuilding from scratch. But here's where it gets really interesting for min-maxers like us. Your leader choice unlocks exclusive facilities that completely change your base strategy. Choose a warlord leader and you get access to an armory that cranks out military-grade ammunition and explosives. Pick a trader and you unlock a trade depot generating passive influence and access to any trader type on demand. Sheriff, field hospital with passive healing for everyone. Builder, sniper towers providing radio support and covering fire during sieges. The metagame becomes figuring out optimal builds for different playstyles and difficulty levels. Speedrunners focus on influence generation and minimal infrastructure. Long-term players build self-sustaining communities with maxed facilities. Lethal difficulty players obsess over defensive structures and medical capacity because one mistake means permadeath. State of Decay 2 proves you don't need Minecraft-style creative freedom to create a deeply strategic base-building experience. Sometimes the best puzzles come from working within constraints, and when you finally optimize that perfect base layout, balance all your resources, and watch your community thrive in a world full of undead horrors, that's the base building magic we live for. From cinematic zombie survival to voxel-based fortress building, here's the thing about 7 Days to Die that separates it from every other survival builder. Your base isn't just a house, it's a fortress designed to withstand a literal zombie apocalypse. Every 7 in-game days, a blood moon rises and hundreds of undead come straight for you in an 8-hour siege that lasts from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Your base either holds or you're starting over. That pressure transforms building from a creative hobby into strategic engineering. The block progression system is brilliant in its simplicity. You start with wood frames, 600 health points each, and upgrade them through 4 material tiers using your equipped tools. Wood frames become wood blocks with 8 wood, 1,200 health points. Then cobblestone blocks with 10 cobblestone rocks, 1,500 health points. Then concrete blocks with 10 concrete mix, 5,000 health points. And finally, steel blocks with 10 forged steel, 10,000 health points. Each upgrade grants experience points and increases durability exponentially. You can craft blocks directly or upgrade existing structures, and the beauty is you can reshape any block into hundreds of forms: cubes, ramps, stairs, posts, partial blocks. By holding R and selecting from the shapes menu, it's freeform building with meaningful material consequences. But here's where 7 Days to Die gets tactical. Zombie AI targets structural weak points. They don't just mindlessly attack, they pathfind toward your position and will demolish whatever stands between them and you. This forces you to think defensively. Elevated platforms with choke point entrances create bottlenecks where hordes funnel into kill zones. Multi-layered walls with 2 to 3 block thickness buy you precious repair time. Elevated positions make you harder to reach. Zombies can't jump to ladders that are 2+ blocks off the ground, so you can create entry points only you can access even better. Remove staircase sections mid-horde to strand climbing zombies. The trap and defensive systems integrate seamlessly into your architecture. Blade traps slice through zombie hordes and corridors. Electric fences connected to generators slow and damage approaching enemies. Shotgun turrets and dart traps auto-target threats if you've wired power to them. Landmines create area of effect devastation. Wood spikes and barbed wire fences form perimeter defenses that cripple legs and reduce mobility. You're not just placing decorative defenses, you're engineering overlapping fields of fire, controlling pathing with strategic walls, and creating kill boxes where zombies fall into spike-filled pits while you rain fire from above. Location matters tactically too. Flat elevated terrain gives clear sight lines. Natural barriers like mountains or water reduce entry points. Proximity to resources, clay, stone, iron veins, minimizes dangerous supply runs. Some players even build on bedrock or islands to limit ground level access. Others terraform moats around their bases or use existing POIS, points of interest, as fortified shells, upgrading concrete buildings into steel fortresses. What makes this system genius is how it scales with progression. Early game, you're throwing together cobblestone rectangles 7 blocks high with a single defended opening. By day 21, you need steel reinforced towers with generator-powered turret grids, multi-story platforms, drop traps beneath entry corridors, and enough structural integrity to withstand demolisher zombies and cop acid spit. Blood Moon difficulty increases with your game stage, so your base must evolve from survival shelter to military installation. Every block has durability. Zombies damage them. You repair them between hordes with the same materials used for upgrades. Running out of concrete mix or forged steel mid-siege means watching your walls crumble in real-time resource management isn't abstract. It's life or death when 50 zombies are battering down your steel door at 3:47 a.m. and you're out of repair materials. For base builders who want every construction decision to matter, where structural engineering determines survival and creative freedom exists within brutal tactical constraints, 7 Days to Die delivers like nothing else. Your base isn't art, it's a machine built to kill zombies and keep you breathing through the longest nights of your life. Now, if you want to add hostile players to your zombie apocalypse, DayZ is the godfather of hardcore survival, the original Arma 2 mod that spawned an entire genre and turned Bohemia Interactive into survival game royalty. This is brutal, unforgiving, permadeath survival where you can spend 40 hours gearing up only to get one-tapped by a sniper you never saw. Zombies are a threat, but players are the real danger. And in this cutthroat environment, base building wasn't even added until 2018, years after standalone launch. That tells you something important. DayZ isn't about settling down, it's about nomadic survival. But when you do build, you're making a statement. Here's what makes DayZ base building unique compared to every other game we've covered. Minimalism by design. You don't get modular building systems with foundations, walls, and roofs. You get fences, watchtowers, and the ability to barricade existing structures. That's it in vanilla. No custom compounds from scratch. No snapping floor pieces together. You're working with prefabricated fence kits and tower kits units that you assemble section by section. It's deliberately limited, and that limitation creates interesting strategic choices. The fence is your primary building block. Craft a fence kit from 2 sticks and rope. Place it on the ground, bury 2 logs with a shovel to create the foundation. Then you build the frame. Upper and lower sections requiring 4 planks and 8 nails each. Finally, clad both sections with 5 planks and 10 nails per section. One complete fence panel demands 18 planks and 36 nails total. Now multiply that by however many panels you need for a perimeter. Resource gathering is the real grind in DayZ base building. Watchtowers follow similar logic but vertical. 3-story structures requiring fence kits, logs, planks, nails, and eventually metal sheets for the roof. Each level uses the same fence construction process. You're essentially stacking 3 fence sections on top of each other, adding platforms and stairs. The resource cost is massive, which is exactly why most DayZ players never build them. You need lumberyards, industrial areas, and massive time investment just for basic structures. Security comes down to combination locks, and this is where DayZ gets brutal. Vanilla offers 2 lock types: blue 3-digit locks with 1,000 combinations, and red 4-digit locks with 10,000 combinations. Here's the nightmare. You must dial the combination every single time you open a gate. No saved codes, no one-time entry like modded code locks. Stand there spinning dials while hoping nobody shoots you in the back. That 30-second vulnerability is why airlock design matters. Build gates inside barns so you can close exterior doors before unlocking your actual base entrance. But here's the cruel reality veteran players know. 3-digit locks can be brute forced in 10 to 15 minutes. 4-digit locks take 1 to 2 hours if someone's determined. Players start at 500 or 5,000 and work upward because most people pick numbers in the upper half. Birth years, sequential patterns, all crackable. Lockpicking isn't some advanced skill, it's patience and a notepad. Your base security relies entirely on concealment, not lock strength. Raiding mechanics favor attackers. Melee weapons work but take 60 to 90 minutes of constant hammering per wall. Firearms are faster but loud. You're announcing free loot here to the entire server. Plastic explosives, 2C4 charges destroy a metal wall instantly. Grenades, mines, claymores, all work but require tons of materials. The fastest raid method is cracking the lock, which is why 4-digit codes are mandatory, and even then you're vulnerable. This brings us to the fundamental DayZ base building philosophy: concealment over security. Build in dense forests, not near towns. Use camouflage netting religiously. Small footprints beat fortresses. Players describe bases so well hidden they couldn't find them at 100 feet, knowing exact coordinates. Elevation helps avoid sniper angles. Avoid high traffic areas completely. That church in the city center with 1 entrance. Terrible idea despite seeming defensible. Everyone checks churches for loot. The meta strategy: many veterans don't build bases at all. Buried stashes in the woods, barrels hidden in bushes, tents camouflaged under trees, 0 visual profile, impossible to raid without stumbling across them randomly. The infinite backpack stacking glitch means dedicated nomads live out of vehicles, entire bases in a truck, completely mobile. When your base can drive away, raiders can't touch it. Modded servers completely transform the experience. Base Building Plus adds proper modular construction with rotation mechanics and new building parts. RA Base Building brings Rust-style building with garage doors, ladder hatches, compounds, 3 material tiers, and territory upkeep systems. Code lock mods replace vanilla combination locks with one-time entry systems and hacksaw raiding mechanics. Expansion adds comprehensive base building overhauls. Modded DayZ becomes a different game entirely, actually comparable to Rust or SCUM rather than minimal vanilla fortifications. But Vanilla's minimalism is intentional design philosophy. DayZ is about tension and loss. Bases you can't truly defend. Locks that crack with patience. Raids that succeed through determination. Everything is temporary. Nothing is safe. That's the point. In most survival games, your base is sanctuary. In DayZ, it's just another thing you'll eventually lose. DayZ proves that limiting base building doesn't make survival less intense. It makes it more so. When your only options are fence panels and watchtowers, when locks crack with patience, when concealment is your only real defense, base building becomes high-stakes gambling. And when you log in after 3 days to find your gate combination picked and everything stolen, that's authentic DayZ, brutal, unforgiving, and why we keep coming back.
Trading PvP chaos for something darker and more atmospheric.
Vain is what happens when someone asks, what if Project Zomboid was in first person with realistic graphics and taken to the absolute extreme? This is hardcore survival simulation where you're tracking not just hunger and thirst, but specific vitamin deficiencies, psychological stress, individual injuries that need proper treatment, and a skill system with 20 different abilities to level. The map is massive, a recreation of New York's Champlain Valley, with real towns, forests, and hundreds of buildings. And here's the kicker for us base builders. You don't build bases from scratch. You claim existing structures and fortify them into impenetrable fortresses. Let me explain why this approach is brilliant. Instead of spending hours placing individual wall pieces in an empty field, you're scouting real locations with strategic value. That fire station with 2 vehicle bays and roof access? Perfect. The High Noon Plaza with industrial freezers, flat roofs for solar panels, and on-site gas pumps? Endgame material. That island house accessible only by a single bridge? Natural choke point heaven. Vain turns base building into real estate strategy where location matters more than construction skill. Everything revolves around the utility cabinet. This is your land claim, your spawn blocker, and your auto repair station rolled into one craftable box. Place a UC in a building and an orange radius appears showing your buildable area. Within that radius, 3 critical things happen. Zombies stop spawning, container loot stops respawning, and any structures you build get automatically repaired as long as you feed the cabinet materials. Without a UC, you're just visiting. With a UC, you own the property. But here's the genius mechanic that makes Vain's system scalable. You can place multiple UCs. Want to claim that entire prison complex? Drop 6 or 7 cabinets throughout the buildings. Want to secure an entire island? Place enough UCs to blanket the area, then build a wall and gate at the bridge choke point. Each cabinet needs materials for maintenance: wood, metal, concrete, but the territorial control is absolute. No zombie spawns, no loot respawns, complete security within your claimed zone. The fortification system runs on 4 tiers, and understanding the progression is critical. Tier 1 is wood scrap, fast to build, breaks easily, vulnerable to everything. Think of it as temporary barricades for windows and doors. Tier 2 is fortified wood, significantly stronger, requires proper tools and materials, holds up against basic zombie hordes. Tier 3 is limestone brick. Now we're talking fortress construction. You're mining limestone, grinding it to powder, making concrete paste, and building structures that zombies can't touch. Tier 4 is scrap metal, endgame defense designed for PvP. Only explosives damage these fortifications. Building mechanics use a smart snapping system. Look at an existing fortification, fence, wall, barricade, and a new one appears positioned next to it. Mouse wheel rotates your placement. This lets you create perfect 90-degree corners and seamless defensive perimeters without measuring or guessing. The trick is building from high ground down to low ground for perfect horizontal alignment. Fences sink into terrain naturally, following the landscape while maintaining structural integrity. Storage strategy differs from typical survival games because you're working with existing buildings. Find that garage with tool cabinets? Those are yours now. Industrial freezers at the plaza. Stack them with preserved food that decays slower. You can build additional storage, crate shelves, barrels, weapon racks. But smart players utilize existing infrastructure first. Hang loaded weapons on walls for quick access during raids. Park vehicles in garages as mobile storage units. Use that professional kitchen for cooking stations. The progression curve pushes you toward better locations as you develop. Early game, any house with a door works. Mid game, fire stations and garages with vehicle bays and workshop space. Late game, massive compounds like the prison complex, the plaza with multiple buildings, or strategic islands with limited access points. Larger bases attract bigger hordes though, so expansion requires genuine defensive preparation. Here's what separates Vain from other survival based builders: realism constraints that enhance gameplay. You can't build custom buildings because realistically pouring foundations and framing structures takes months with professional crews. Instead, you're doing what actual survivors would do, finding the best existing shelter and fortifying it with available materials, boarding windows, reinforcing doors, building perimeter fences, creating safe zones within claimed territory. The metagame becomes location scouting and resource efficiency. Solo players find compact houses near loot and resources. Squads claim sprawling complexes with multiple UCs, creating interconnected safe zones. PvP players build on islands or elevated positions with controlled access points. Everyone's calculating proximity to resources, natural defenses, roof access for solar and farming, vehicle storage capacity, and expansion potential. Vayne proves that limiting building options doesn't limit strategic depth, it focuses it. When you can't build anywhere, every location decision matters. When fortifications require progression through material tiers, defense becomes genuine investment. When the utility cabinet system lets you claim entire neighborhoods by placing multiple units, base building scales from survival shelter to territorial control. And when you've transformed that dingy fire station into a fully operational compound with solar power, vehicle bays, farming plots, and tier 3 fortifications, that's the realistic survival base building experience that Project Zomboid fans have been waiting for.
From atmospheric horror to another indie gem with its own unique take on the apocalypse,
SurrounDead is the zombie survival game that one developer, literally one person doing this as a side project, has been building into something special. This is open world survival with all the expected mechanics: looting, crafting, vehicles that break down, skill progression, weapons degradation. But what makes it interesting for base builders is the flexibility. You can claim existing structures like bunkers and fire stations, or you can build modular compounds from scratch in the wilderness. And unlike most early access survival games, SurrounDead gives you actual empty buildings specifically designed as base locations. Let me start with what sets SurrounDead apart: the bunker system. There are 4 empty underground bunkers scattered across the map, and they're basically move-in ready apocalypse apartments. These aren't tiny survival shelters, we're talking full underground complexes with multiple rooms, garage space, and enough square footage for serious operations. The northern bunker is popular, but personally, I prefer the central one south of the prison on that dirt road. Central location, access to multiple loot routes, and isolated enough that zombie traffic stays manageable. But bunkers aren't your only option. The community loves using fire stations because of the central map positioning and massive interior space. 2 vehicle bays, office areas, tons of parking, easy to fortify. Warehouses offer similar benefits. Huge open floor plans, perfect for organizing storage and crafting stations. Some players even claim Firewatch towers on hilltops, building around that strategic elevation advantage. The beauty of SurrounDead is you're not limited to designated base zones. See a warehouse you like? Claim it. Find a construction site with good bones, make it yours. The building system runs on a 3-tier workbench progression. Start by crafting a basic crafting bench from your inventory. Just press tab, open the crafting tab, build it, then right-click and place it. This unlocks the construction workbench, also called building station, which is where the real base building happens. Access the construction workbench and you'll see 2 tabs, standard and modular. Standard has your basic placeables, storage containers, campfires, furniture, defenses. Modular is where you build structures. The modular system is relatively new to SurrounDead, and it's a game changer. Wooden foundations, walls, floors, stairs, roofs, door frames, windows, all snap together seamlessly. No tedious micro adjustments trying to align pieces. Look at an existing modular piece and new ones automatically snap to it. This lets you construct multi-story buildings, custom compounds, perimeter walls, whatever your design requires. Full creative freedom with foundations, half walls, quarter foundations, triangle pieces for complex angles, gable roofs, corner stairs. The building vocabulary is comprehensive. Currently, everything is wooden tier, but the framework exists for upgrades. Think of it like early 7 Days to Die or Rust progression, where you start with wood and eventually unlock metal and concrete. For now, wooden fortifications work fine because, and here's the thing, there are no AI base attacks yet. It's on the roadmap, but currently base building is purely about storage organization and establishing your operational hub. No horde nights, no raiders, just you creating your perfect post-apocalyptic home. Storage strategy differs based on playstyle. The game has infinite backpack stacking, which means dedicated nomads literally live out of their vehicles. SWAT truck becomes mobile base, tent and sleeping bag for spawn points, portable crafting station for repairs. But if you're like me and you enjoy the settlement aspect, you'll want proper storage. You can use existing containers in claimed buildings, craft your own storage boxes and crates, or mix both approaches. Pro tip, you can toggle container loot, refresh in settings, turning any existing container into permanent storage. Location strategy comes down to 3 factors: trader proximity, resource access, and map position. Bases near NPC vendors mean easy shopping and selling without long drives. Central map positions minimize travel time to any POI. Proximity to towns increases resource density, but also zombie encounters. Some players prefer remote bunkers for security. Others want that fire station in the middle of everything for convenience. There's no wrong answer, it depends on whether you value safety or efficiency. One underutilized feature: you can remove clutter from some buildings using a shovel. Not every building supports it yet. Early access limitations, but when it works, you can clear out debris and really customize interior spaces. Combined with placeable furniture and decorations, you can transform generic structures into personalized bases. The crafting station hierarchy extends beyond construction. That third-tier weapons bench unlocks ammunition crafting and weapon modifications. Combined with your construction workbench, you're building a fully functional compound with everything you need for long-term survival. Vehicle bay, weapons manufacturing, storage organization, cooking facilities, sleeping quarters. And here's what makes SurrounDead special for the base building community: it's being developed by someone who listens. Modular building was added based on player feedback. Bunker redesigns are coming in the next major update. NPC recruitment and base defense mechanics are planned. This is early access done right. A solo developer building features the community actually wants. SurrounDead proves that even as a side project from a single developer, you can create compelling base building systems. When you give players empty bunkers to customize, modular pieces that actually snap together, and the freedom to build anywhere on a massive map, base building becomes genuine creative expression. And when you finally transform that underground bunker into a fully stocked survival compound with organized storage, crafting stations, and aesthetic touches, that's the indie survival base building experience worth supporting.
And finally, the game that many consider the deepest zombie survival experience available?
Project Zomboid is the game that started it all for many of us. The isometric zombie survival game that's been in early access since 2013 and somehow still feels more complete than most finished survival games. This isn't a flashy 3D survival experience. It's top-down, methodical, and absolutely brutal. Permadeath is guaranteed. The question isn't if you'll die, but when. And in this unforgiving landscape, base building becomes the ultimate long-term project. You're not building to win, you're building because creating something permanent in a world of decay is what keeps you playing past day 100. What makes Project Zomboid's base building special is the complete creative freedom through the carpentry skill system. You're not working with prefab structures or modular snap-together pieces. You're placing individual wall sections, floor tiles, door frames, windows, stairs, everything built piece by piece. Want a 2-story compound with a rooftop farm and rain collection system? Build it. Want to fortify an existing warehouse into a multi-level fortress? Do it. Want to construct a bridge over water connecting 2 buildings? Absolutely possible. The only limits are your carpentry level and available materials. Carpentry progression gates your building capabilities in a way that feels natural. Level 0 lets you build basic wooden walls and barricade windows. Level 2 unlocks wooden doors and better walls. Level 4 gives you double doors and stronger structures. Level 6, the big milestone, unlocks stairs and rooftops, letting you build vertically. Level 7 gets you log walls, the strongest vanilla defense. Each level also improves construction speed and health of built objects. Starting as a carpenter occupation gives you massive advantage, but even without it, you're reading skill books and grinding XP by building practice walls. Materials are the constant grind. Planks and nails are your bread and butter. Nails spawn in warehouses, sheds, garages, toolboxes, but they're finite. You scavenge or dismantle furniture for more. Planks come from lumber piles or sawing logs with a handsaw. 1 tree equals 1 log. 1 log becomes 4 planks. You'll need hundreds. Then there's sheet metal for reinforced structures, hinges for doors, doorknobs, screws, various tools. The material economy in Project Zomboid is legitimate resource management, not the infinite crafting building loops in other games. The genius of the system is the dual approach: fortify existing structures or build from scratch. Most players start by claiming a house, board windows with planks, reinforce doors, build interior walls to create safe rooms, add sheet rope escape routes from upper floors. Then they expand outward, walling off yards, building garages for vehicles, creating perimeter fences. Eventually you're adding second stories to single floor houses, building watchtowers, constructing entire annexes, but dedicated builders go full custom. Find open land and construct from foundation up. Place wooden floor tiles for your footprint, build walls section by section, add door frames and hang doors, construct stairs to a second level, place floor tiles for the second story, build walls and add a roof, plumb rain barrels on the roof to sinks below for clean water. The isometric view makes complex multi-story structures challenging but deeply satisfying when you nail the design. Defense strategy revolves around layered protection. Wooden walls are your first line. Log walls at high carpentry levels become incredibly strong. Zombies will attack walls if they see you through windows or hear noise, so you board up windows and add curtains. Some players exploit the furniture fence glitch. Place a table or crate. Build fence in front of it. Zombies can't climb or break it. Others build elevated bases with knocked out stairs, though Build 41 made rope ladders destructible, changing that meta. The plumbing system adds another building dimension. Rain collector barrels on roofs connected to sinks below provide infinite clean water, essential for long-term survival. You're literally designing water filtration systems using game mechanics. Generators power your base once electricity shuts off, requiring fuel but enabling refrigerators, lights, and electric tools. Planning generator placement with fuel storage becomes architecture considerations. Location selection depends on playstyle. Louisville offers maximum loot but insane zombie density, veteran territory. Rosewood has fewer zombies, perfect for beginners, but limited resources. West Point and Muldra are middle ground options. Many players prefer rural farms with existing fencing and agricultural space. Some build deep in forests where zombie spawns are minimal, but resource runs require long trips. The community has pushed building to absurd levels. Players construct entire self-sufficient compounds with farms, workshops, medical bays, armories, vehicle garages, and living quarters. Some build replica structures from other media. Others make functioning towns in multiplayer servers. The debug mode lets you copy and paste tiles, enabling even more creative mega projects. After 10+ years of development, the building meta has evolved into legitimate architecture. And here's what keeps people coming back. Your base is your legacy. When you finally die, and you will die, that base remains. In multiplayer, other players discover it. In single player, you start a new character in the same world and can return to your creation, now overrun and decayed. That impermanence makes every base meaningful. You're not building for stats or achievements. You're building because in a game about inevitable death, construction is defiance. Project Zomboid proves that isometric perspective doesn't limit base building depth, it enables it. When you give players piece-by-piece construction freedom, skill-based progression, and meaningful resource scarcity, base building becomes the endgame content. And when you finally stand on your rooftop farm overlooking your walled compound at sunset on day 200, watching zombies mill around outside your impenetrable walls, that's why we're still playing a game that's been in early access for over a decade, because the building is that good.
So there you have it. 10 games where the apocalypse is less about running scared and more about digging in, building up, and making your stand. Whether you're meticulously planning every supply run in Project Zomboid or battling eldritch horrors in Once Human, there's something deeply satisfying about turning the end of the world into your personal fortress building simulator. Which one are you diving into first? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this rundown, consider subscribing for more survival, strategy, and base building coverage. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some walls to reinforce. Stay safe out there.